Hello, one and all, and welcome to our Lux in Tenebris, our Monster Hunters Guild's pride and joy, our city, our unyielding, unbending light in all the darkness of this forest, and of this world and realm. Hi there, we are the Hunters, led by yours truly, Sir Giraudus. Perhaps you've heard of me. I'm a knight of much renown, yada yada. You've probably already have, I'm sure. Recently, we finished up our city, which also includes many an inn as well as longhouse, where we allow traders and travelers, caravans, so on and so forth, to stop in mostly free of charge when they're traveling through the dark forest. That way they don't get murdered by monsters or the undead. It's a bit of a service we provide to the realm. Speaking of monsters, we have our Alp, a bit of a dream demon, a sleep paralysis demon, kinda. He puts you to sleep. He's not really a demon, though. I don't even know if I'd consider him a monster. Not since we tamed him, at least. Who's a good boy? That's right, you are. Today, though, my friends, not only will we be building an army to help us serve the realms of men, but we are also going to be researching new technologies to arm our army, such as gunpowder weaponry. Now, this technology is still in the experimental prototype phase for this world, and we'll have to get quite accustomed to it. But I think that gunpowder weapons like firearms might be exactly what we need in our line of work. We've seen how well the cannons do. Let's see how well miniature versions do that we can carry around. This research shouldn't take all that long, as we're somewhat familiar with them. As I just mentioned, we do already have cannons. Now we mostly need to research the mechanisms for firearms, yada yada, the boring stuff. Here's something interesting though. It would seem, thanks to our efforts of deforesting and burning down this horrid biome, things are somewhat returning to normal. As you can see, many of the ancient stags and does are returning without fear of being slaughtered by the undead or hordes of monsters. The world is healing. Not only is this beautiful to see, but this might also be quite useful. For you see, as members of the House of the Rotten Boar, we actually used to ride ancient stags and does into battle very often. I know, a bit unusual. Why weren't we riding boars? I don't know, but we're going to start taming some of these stags and does, which didn't go off all that well at first, but eventually we got a couple of them. Now, obviously, we didn't want them in the same pen as our goats. That way we don't end up confusing them in the heat of a fight. Maybe a monster's beating down our doors and we accidentally jump onto the back of one of our billy goats. That wouldn't exactly be ideal. So just above the captain's home, we ended up building them their own pen. Again, only filled with a couple of them for now, but eventually, hopefully we'll have plenty more for an entire army to ride. We will also be placing a hitching spot towards the south, because I don't really like the location of having all of our mounts all the way up here, away from everyone's residential housing. It wouldn't exactly be all that convenient to rush to the other side of the city for an attack, just to mount our mounts and then head back the other direction. After this, though, we finally finished that research into gunpowder weaponry, and we are more than ready to go about making one of our first. A good old-fashioned hand cannon. Miniton, of course, being one of our most skillful smiths, was entrusted with making a few of these for us to attempt to use on one of our hunts. We wanted to make sure it's someone that we trust to do a good job, because there's a good chance that these will blow our hands clean off if not. Oh yeah, the great equalizers. Monsters might have teeth and claws, but we have something better. Gunpowder and lead. A few days later, and House Amboys had contacted us with a raven, saying that they had 3 prisoners they had captured, and they were looking for us to hold them until they can create a proper facility for them. Some interesting fellows, apparently. In exchange, they'll help out the guild by providing us with some gold for riches to fund our operation, as well as a shield for us to use. Naturally, we accepted, and they brought the prisoners sometime later. These prisoners appear to be some form of cultist, perhaps. They are asleep thanks to some of the sleeping powder from House Amboy's soldiers, but still slightly conscious, it would seem. This, of course, makes our job a bit easier. Even so, they seem to be muttering and mumbling about an all-powerful undead queen. Yeah, keep dreaming, pal. Nothing more than stag shit, if you ask me. Pretty sure I've made that joke before. But nevertheless, though, I hope your little undead queen isn't real and is only in my nightmares. For her sake, that is. But now with the prisoners squared away, we've also received word from elven travelers of another lindworm in the area, mostly attacking orc traders and caravans. Now, the orcs are our enemies, but a monster is a monster all the same. Even if the orcs are our enemies, we have a duty to do. We've sworn an oath. Plus, it could be a good opportunity to try out our new guns. And with that, it was settled. Besides, we couldn't waste any time. The longer we wait, the more people that will be killed by the lindworm. Not only orcs, but elves and humans alike. We immediately would head that way, and after several days, we finally arrived. The ground was frozen solid, and to our north, just ahead, we could see a large opening within the mountain. This must be the cave of the creature, as it sneaks and slithers through the cold cave walls, the corpses of its home frozen. It looks to me as if the orcs have already sent out a raiding party to try to deal with this monster. You poor beasts. Best leave it to the professionals. Now, we're not just gonna run in there all willy-nilly and start stabbing and shooting and hoping for the best. Luckily, we've brought plenty of steel as well as wood to go about building ourselves a proper cannon at the entrance of the cave. But even so, with the cannon, we still need to be quite cautious. We've only killed one lindworm before, we used a couple of cannons, and we had the full manpower of the guild. This is going to be a little bit more tricky. So we have everyone ready here. Most of our people are using their ranged weapons. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Remount, please. They're using their ranged weapons, and we have one of our dark elves on the cannon. Now, the only issue is we need to get the lindworm out here. How are we going to do that, you might ask? Well, myself and my sister Danielle are going to be going in to gain its attention. It looks like some of the cave has actually caved in, so we're going to have to do a bit of mining here. We're going to bring Dial in specifically so he can go about mining this granite. Now, I'm not going to leave him in here, simply because I don't want him to get caught up in the crossfire. Can we hit it from... Yes, now we can. Now we can. Whoa, 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 whoa. Go, go, go. Everyone get out of there. Oh, go, go. Sir Garatus, please. I beg of you, move. Holy, get out of there now. Oh my god. Even on the stag. Okay, move. Move. Jeez. If worst comes to worst, we're going to leave the stag in there behind. But I don't want to do that. No more fire at will. Just keep moving. Keep moving. Here we go. I want everyone moved to the sides, and I want the lindworm. There's a good shot right here. Yeah. All right, there we go. So it is stunned, and we're gonna try our best to keep it stunned, but we need to move all of our ranged folks back. Sir Garatus is also stunned. There we go. Perfect. Okay. I was trying not to hit him and the stag if we could help it. Oh, man. Okay, well, we managed to kill the lindworm. Jesus. Sir Garatus is... You know what? Actually, he's not even injured from the, He's not even injured from the cannon. I think our stag... Yeah, our stag is a little injured from the cannon, but that wasn't too bad, actually. Not too shabby. We'll tend to ourselves. So we have killed it. We'll get to get its scales. I don't think there's anything in here. The cave is mostly empty, except for, well, we do have a helmet here, a chosen helmet, I suppose. And we could actually strip these orcs and recycle their clothing if we so choose. Obviously, we'll be staying here for the evening, so we're going to go ahead and set ourselves up a little campfire. We didn't bring any tents or bedrolls, which we desperately needed to do. We'll go ahead and set up some sleeping spots near the fire to keep us warm, and as well, I think I'm going to go ahead and build a butchering table. We could try to build a workbench out here, but I don't know if it's going to let us. I might actually have to do I'll have to do a block because we don't have planks. I'm going to butcher the lindworm. It's absolutely massive. It's going to be very hard for us to carry back, so I think butchering it here is the best thing to do. We'll go ahead and butcher it, that way we can get scales, things like that from it, and it's going to be a lot lighter to carry back. Also, we can go ahead and set up a build to go about cooking the lindworm, as well as onions, because I forgot we brought some of those, and we can all eat before we sleep for the night. Oh my, plenty of meat. We also have that blood, we have scales, and we also have some hide and bones. So we should be able to make some more lindworm equipment that will keep us immune to the acidic effects, which is also why I sent Sir Garatus in, because he has the shield earlier. He's had it the whole time, but when I sent him in, it was earlier. The thing about that, though, that I had completely forgot about is the fact that with the gun, you don't use the shield. So, again, though, with this equipment, I think we'll be carrying this armor and stuff back home because it's tainted, and also we don't have a workbench here to go about recycling. We have also recycled our cannons, so we can try to reuse the steel. Unfortunately, cannons cannot be uninstalled, otherwise I'd just bring it back home with us. But with that, I think we're going to rest ourselves up, warm up by the fire, sleep a little bit tonight, and then we'll start heading back home. And so we would. However, you already know the journey back home is going to be long and boring, also a bit tiresome, so if anything interesting happens, I'll let you know. But in the meantime, back at our city in the forest, it would appear that the cultist prisoners that we have awakened, which is unusual seeing how House Amboys had drugged them, hopefully letting them sleep the entire duration of their stay here. Nevertheless, I suppose it'll be fine. Besides, we have much more pressing matters. If we are truly going to be creating an army for our city in today's episode, we are going to need some proper transportation. And I'm not just talking about ancient deer that we're going to be riding around. We are actually going to be taming a couple of stallions, hooking them up to a wagon, and voila, we have a proper carriage. Not only for riding, but also for trade and carrying of goods and weapons and things of that sort. But of course we need a proper place to store the wagon, our horses, as well as a nice place to store food for the winter for all of our animals within the city. So, of course, we are going to undertake the construction of a proper barn. And if I could be honest with you, I'm fairly happy with how it turned out. We have a decent bit of storage room for straw and hay and other things that animals will need to eat, of course, and we also have a couple of stalls for our stallions, with plenty of room to spare to park the old wagon for its next voyage. Now, of course, we had to make some accommodations to one of our gates to ensure that it is large enough for our wagon to go in and out of, but that's not too big of a deal. Besides, we needed to do a little bit of road work anyhow. And I don't mean to break the immersion, but I must say that one of my favorite things in this series specifically is how we come into this necromancy forest. It's full of the living dead, monsters, and all sorts of darkness, and yet now we've reshaped it. Humans have taken it, and we have brought light, we have brought construction and life, most of all. I'm not one for subtlety, so you may have also noticed that the music has changed to what I consider to be the theme of the Rotten Boar from our first series. And that is because I feel like we've shifted away from a nightmare forest to a proper city. Speaking of which, our heroic hunters have finally returned home, bringing back all the items from their adventure, like the lindworm meat that we will be turning into steaks and having a feast with, but also the blood, as well as some bones that we are going to be reshaping into armor and weaponry. I found it fitting that our captain would get his very own lindworm armor set, matching his nice shield, of course, as well as some bone pauldrons, offering plenty of defense, as well as a bit of style. Later on into the night, we noticed that a wild man had entered the forest. Not just any wild man, a wild orc. It's quite common for orcs to leave their weaker babies out in the wild, and occasionally those weak babies actually survive and grow into hulking monsters that are no smarter than your average mutt. Perfect for us, I think. He's not much of an army, but he has an incredible melee skill. Now, that's a double-bladed sword. As you could imagine, that would be quite useful in our army and for our hunters, but that also means he might beat us like a wet rug. I had brought the Alp down to hopefully maybe make him hallucinate and to knock him out, or whatever the Alps are supposed to do as dream demons, but This didn't really work. Maybe we don't quite understand how to make him do it yet, but the orc had to be knocked on the head a few times. Eventually, though, it worked, and we managed to take him into custody. Oh, I forgot to mention in a clip a moment ago, we also brought Maverick to hopefully talk to him, but he was a little bit too wild for that. Anyways, though, we're going to try to tame him by feeding him food and giving him good praise, because there's only one way to a hungry orc's heart. Meat. Again, though, I am afraid I must reiterate that one wild orc warrior isn't going to cut it. We need to speed up the process of obtaining our army. Exponentially so, actually. We have the room to house them, but we need some money to pay their wages and also a possible recruiting fee or to buy their freedom, depending on their circumstance. Lucky enough, we just so happen to have plenty of riches to the south of our city waiting to be mined. Remember these meteorites that fell a few episodes ago whenever we burned down a significant portion of the dark forest, and we thought maybe it's some type of angry necromancer mommy goddess? Well, we're going to be mining those, and we're going to be hiring a bunch of troops to go about killing more undead. How you like them apples, bitch? You know, while we were mining these meteorites, though, we also noticed there appears to be some type of obelisk. I didn't notice it before. Perhaps it also fell with the meteorites. It's actually quite similar to the one at the capital city of the House of the Rotten Boar that we built something of a shrine around, and we were trying to preserve history and a bit of a tourist attraction. I'm sure this one is nothing. Adding on to that, as we were achieving the means of gaining our army, a horrid death pall had set in into the area. The worst that we've seen in ages. Thick with a nasty, plaguish aura. The cultists seemed to rejoice in this shroud of darkness and this disgusting plague. But then, they went silent. Something isn't right here. Well, that can't be good. The Rotting Horde. Never heard of them. But it looks like things keep getting worse. A large horde of corpses had appeared on our western side. With a... Is that a necromancer? Yeah, I'm sure. I think a bullet will do you all the same as it has for your undead companions thus far. We would split our forces in half to take on both of the impending groups of undead. I don't give a shit if magic is real or not. If it can bleed, it can die. And by the grace of the gods, we will make these sons of bitches bleed by the time this death ball clears. Foolishly, the corpses would attempt a frontal assault at the southern gate as their necromancer commander was coming from the east. A fool's mistake as we quickly swarmed them and killed them. Speaking of which, as we were fending off one of their death knights, we were also preparing to be flanked from the east. However, the necromancer nor the rest of their forces ended up coming. We were a bit confused as to why, but in the dark distance we saw gilded plate armor and long ears and spears. It seems that an elven caravan has come to our aid, killing not only her undead, but also the necromancer as well. Wait a minute. Oh shit. Maybe magic is real. Ah, I see the problem. The elves forgot to remove their heads. Not to worry, you poor sods, for we are on our way. We'll show you how to do it right. After finishing off their final death knight, we would approach from the southwest and start chopping, slashing, and, well, basically just killing all of the corpses in the necromancer's army, as well as her herself. And this time, you dirty she-devil, we're gonna make sure that you stay down. Now you stay right there, Alp. I might need you to knock her out. That's unusual. It didn't look like her corpse burned, but disappeared. Perhaps she's not of this world, or of this dimension. Well, nevertheless, she's dead now. Actually dead. And we have plenty of elves who have served the guild today who are injured. And our heroic sleep paralysis demon would save them from being burned in the forest. Please don't resist. You're being saved. I gotta tell you, I think that we could have handled that little corpse army, but I'm glad the elves came to our aid. It was much easier that way. But I think that this also shows that the presence of our guild hunting these creatures and monsters and corpses and blah 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 also shows that this world is awakening, becoming aware of this dimensional merge or whatever is happening. I don't know if that's good or bad, but hopefully good. Something tells me that that little undead rotting horde may have come to try to bust out these cultists. I can't be too sure of that, but I know one way to make sure it doesn't happen again. Sorry, House Amboys, but I'm afraid these fellas won't be making it to the noose. Well, not your noose at least. Hey, that one's getting away. Get back here, you scoundrel. Huh. Well, I suppose we could skip the part where we remove your head and just take your corpse straight to the old pyre, eh? Guns. Maybe a useful invention after all. Now that we're done executing our prisoners of war, I think it's time that we send out a proper trading party, and who better to do so than a couple of our dark elf hunters? Great social skills, charismatic, purple, what's not to love? First and foremost, we're selling off plenty of textiles like cotton and many of the furs and leathers that we have acquired thus far that we don't actually need for any clothing or weapons. Next on the list, and quite honestly most importantly, many of the minerals that we've been mining from the meteorites like gold or onyx and amber and things like that that are going to make us a vast fortune. We'll be setting out a little to the northwest to do a bit of trading with our elven allies in the area. We'd love to trade with the orcs, but even after killing that lindworm and saving many of their children and caravans, they still don't want to team up and do business or anything like that. So to hell with them. Hellboars. That was a terrible transition, but I did notice that some of these monstrous hellboars have entered our area. This has actually happened a few times off camera, and I just killed them without showing you because it's only one or two, not that big of a deal. However, this time around, I have something better in mind. As pointed out by our good friend Dr. Josiah, hellboars are quite literally the perfect mounts and also hounds, I suppose you could say, for us as hunters, especially as hunters under the House of the Rotten Boar. I think you see where I'm going with this. They could rip and shred an orc or other monsters apart quite easily. But you might be asking yourself, how the hell do you tame this thing? Well, it's basically a walking bear trap, and if you fail to tame it one time, there is a 100% chance that you're going to lose your damn hand. Not exactly the best of odds, but that's where our in-house sleep paralysis demon comes in handy once again. For you see, we've been attempting to go around at night to figure out how his sleeping and hallucinating nightmare powers work, and we still don't really understand them. But if hallucinating and making these things have nightmares knocks them out, that's fine by me. It was pretty simple. We tossed a torch in their eyes, stunning them and blinding them for a few seconds, while our Alp would throw a little magic dust at them, I guess, to knock them out. At first I thought this was hogwash, but then, boom, a sleeping hellboar. Oh my. Well, Sergeratus, you've knocked them out, but what do you do now? You can hardly tame a sleeping animal. I'm glad you asked, because I came prepared. We already used up a lot of marble and iron in our research building to go about making some cages for them, keeping them separate, of course. We don't need them getting up to any nefarious plans, and once they're awake, we'll keep them fed, and we'll also begin taming efforts. Here's hoping we don't lose any hands. Damn, that Alp is good. Yet again, proving himself loyal and quite useful. And yet we still haven't even named him. I know, you wonderful folks have already provided me with a name last episode. Seems like a majority of you like the comment here from our good friend, Xanath-001. Muffins? Muffins it is. A fitting name, and one that I think, if I could add a little bit of lore here, that we might give to our Alp to maybe make him seem a bit more friendly to everyone that comes through the city. We can only keep him hidden in the broom closet for so long when we have company over. Now then, our caravan had finally arrived at the elven settlement to the northwest, and we are finally selling off many of our items such as minerals and, as you can see here, leathers and furs as previously discussed, making us a vast fortune. The only issue is, they didn't actually have any prisoners that could join the Hunters Guild. They did, however, have a knot. You could think of it like a prehistoric cow or something of that sort. The perfect sturdy mount for our hunters, so we would purchase it. A few days later, and our caravan would finally arrive back home, parking the wagon and our knot. And as you can see, we actually made quite a bit of money. Now the only thing is trying to find some prisoners to purchase, or maybe some mercenaries to hire. Somebody who is willing to fight the hordes of monstrosities that we deal with. Not an easy task. Almost as difficult as taming a hellboar, which Marie managed to do. We were feeling pretty confident after this massive achievement, and we were so excited to tame the other, that way we could have a breeding pair, but it was less cooperative. Without a real chance to defend herself, all Marie could really do was attempt to run away as the vicious beast jumped on her, bit her, and clawed at her, taking her to the ground. Alerted by her screams, Dial and Maverick would rush in to take down the beast. And they would. Buckshot to the old face. A classic trick for taking down musky monsters. It's important to remember that even though they are tameable, they're still wild beasts. And sometimes euthanization is the best method. We quickly began patching up Marie's wounds as best we could so she didn't bleed out here in our research hall, and we rushed her back to her home where Sajaki could actually patch her up properly with some proper medieval medicine. The bites from the hellboar's disgusting maw can be quite infectious. But with a little bit of luck and faith, I think Marie will make a quick recovery. As she's recovering from her attack, I began to sit and watch our city as it continues to flourish. But our army stays the same. We've yet to have any damn prison caravans coming our way to trade off their dirty thieves and murderers, and that is just not good. So, I think we should look into contacting them ourselves to request some aid, or at least some people who we can use as soldiers. We're going to be looking into the technology for carrier birds, ravens and pigeons mostly. This will unlock the way to go about training these animals, as well as a messaging table that we can use to write letters and things of that nature to contact other factions. Pretty self-explanatory, I'd say. I was also thinking, while our researchers are hard at work looking into making this happen, we should also go ahead and give some more of our animals some names. For example, our new hellboar. We're actually going to be naming it Fido. This suggestion is from our good friend Justin Bell 1596. Now, I do know, of course, that you wanted to name the Alp this, but I think that our hellboar works just as well as a monster hunting hound on its own out in the forest, as it, just like the Alp, will actually go out and hunt them down on its own as a food source. A natural predator to all those reanimated, rotten boys and gals. I also decided to name our knot Tater. Not because anyone suggested it, but I don't know, I like it. Plus, my dog's name is Tater, so there you go. Oh, speak of the devil, we finally have a prison trader coming from the dark elven houses. It's about damn time. We're eager to buy some soldiers. Unfortunately, it looks like there's only going to be 2 soldiers who will be joining us now, but, that's better than nothing, I guess. Alright, you couple sorry sacks of muffalo shit, it's time for you to redeem yourselves, and to be of some service to the realm for a change. Welcome to the guild. And we finally finished up our research into carrier birds. We'll waste no time, go about collecting ourselves a nice crow outside, and with that, it looks like we're ready to start our writing. Let's see. Dear elven houses, remember the unyielding light? Yes, this is we, the ones who have saved you countless times. We protect the realms of men and elves and orcs and so on and so forth. I think you get the gist. We're requesting a prisoner exchange caravan. That way we can fuel this damn army that we're supposed to be building this episode that thus far is comprised of about 3 new people. Speaking of which, I suppose while we're waiting on a caravan of potential new recruits, we should go ahead and start smithing up some weapons and armor for the 3 that we do have. Starting off here with our friend Grog, yes, the orc that we had finally tamed. He's still a beast by nature and doesn't really speak at all, but he knows how to swing that mighty axe, and truly that's what is important. We also want to begin working on some new types of firearms, unlike the large, basically blunderbusses that we have previously created, the very basic ones. We're actually going to start making some matchlock muskets. Again, still quite the primitive weapon, but with a little bit of refinement in the engineering. There is a lot of potential here, and I truly believe that. So much, in fact, that I've decided to start arming a lot of our new recruits with these matchlock muskets, as well as crossbows or a normal type of bow, maybe some melee weaponry, just in case. But we'll never refine these new prototype weapons if we don't hand them out for people to test in the field. Killing monsters, gushing blood from the necks of orcs, you get the point. A few days later, and the Dark Elf houses had sent yet another prisoner caravan. Finally, we can finish off this army once and for all, adding 5 brand new prisoners among our ranks of hunters. Some of them Dark Elves, some of them High Elves, one of them an Impid. Okay. Either way, though, we are about to whip this sorry outfit into a proper fighting force. Grab your weapons, grab your gear, and let's get to work. Yes, a bit of a mismatch if you ask me, but basically as long as their soft bits are protected and they have some type of weapon to use, that's all that I care about. And now I will be the first to say that this is hardly anything of a unified army, mostly comprised of ex-slaves, thieves, murderers, and other types of prisoners, but it's all we got. And we're gonna make the best with what we have here. I understand this may not be what you folks envisioned for your lives, but at least here, you're free. And you have a second chance at redemption, at getting a bit of glory for yourselves, and at protecting the realm against all monsters, beasts, undead, whatever comes our way. Now then, when you're ready, we got a job to do. Look, before we actually take our army out and begin using it against the hordes of the damned or monsters or whatever we may be facing here today, I want to say that I'm quite proud of what we've built. I always say that, of course, but I am. I don't know where this Lich Queen goth mommy is coming from to try to kill us, whether it be another dimension, whether she had always been here in some form, or whether she is truly looking for champions for her undead rotting horde, but I do know that whatever comes our way, we will be able to face it together. Speaking of which, we've recently received communication from one of the local houses about a nearby settlement that they've lost. Apparently, to, you guessed it, monsters. Alright everyone, mount up. Looks like we're going to be riding south. All of us at the same time. And so we would, all of us moving towards the south. From the reports that we heard, apparently there are no survivors. Nor is there really anything left to reclaim, but we can't just have these beasts wandering around killing anyone they so choose. Smoke filled the air, and from a distance we could see the glowing growth of a fire. In the center of this little village, or whatever this was supposed to be, there are gigantic beasts. Muscled and tough, no doubt. Good thing we brought a lot of manpower. Alright, so I actually have all of our troops set up in the army here. We have our matchlock muskets along with, well, a few people using bow and arrow, of course. But everyone is mounted up on the Ancient Deer. We have Ser Geratus, of course, mounted up on the Hellboar. And we also have our non-mounted troops, as well as our carriage. Now, I'm thinking I might just keep... We have about 4 troops inside here. We'll kind of move them up a little bit slower and let our mounted troops kind of take the lead on this one. They're going to be a bit faster, and just as well, of course, most of them have matchlock muskets or some other type of firearm, which I think might do us pretty good against these giant troll-like creatures. Unholds? Now, I'm not exactly sure as to what type of monster these are. A towering giant 3 times the size of a man, known for devouring sheep and draining ponds. Well, that makes sense as to why they would come here and start killing off villagers and eating their children and other disgusting things. But that doesn't exactly explain these odd meat walls that are bright red and also seem to be encompassing the place. So I'm going to move our mounted troops up. I don't think these creatures are going to be hostile towards us right away. They're not all that intelligent. they had any sense they would be, but fortunately for them, I don't think that's the case. Now, we could try to use the Alp, good old muffins, to try to knock them out, but I don't think we're gonna do that. Oh, shit. Okay, so they are coming straight for us. They are smart enough to realize that we're a threat, it would seem. Oh, no. Grethil, Graphile, I forgot your name. Oh, my God. Muffins! I can't see. Oh, no, I can't see him under there. Holy, Muffins and Graphile have both been severely injured. Bring in the rest of the army. I'm going to bring all of our troops together, and the problem is I don't want to get in this fire, but we do need to rescue Graphile here. Let's carry her, and let's also carry Muffins. We're going to try to kill these monsters as well as get our people out of here, moving them to a clear, safe spot. Oh, Jesus, these monsters are huge. Oh, Jesus. It's beating on Sajaki. We're keeping it at bay. Start tending to Muffins. We're gonna start tending to Graphile as well. Oh, dear God. Oh, and they're eating skeleton corpses. They are absolutely huge. They are pretty injured, it seems like. So hopefully we can keep this going. Tend to her. We need to get Muffins and Graphile ensure that they're not going to die, obviously. Let's move up here. The problem is we're kind of trapped by the flames here. We have to be very careful with how we handle this. We did kill one of them. It's a bit hard to see from all the vegetation, but we killed one here of these giant monster trolls. Fire. I'm going to go ahead and go past the fire. We have to be quite careful. We don't want to get burned for one, but also for two. We don't want to get ourselves stuck just like we're kind of already doing. There we go. Right, and let's move up again to try to kill the third and final one. All right. Absolute firing squad. Perfect. I just realized Sir Giraudus was mostly just directing them there. We didn't have a... There we go. We didn't have a ranged weapon in his hands. Not everyone did. Not everyone has them is why. But yeah, I didn't want Sir Giraudus to... I meant to give him his ranged weapons, what I was going to say. So we have killed them. What is up with the meat wall here, though? This might be worth pounding on a bit. See if we can start destroying it. Okay. Is back in here. Whoa. Alright, back up. Holy. Perhaps we take a moment to observe before the fighting really kicks off. We have a couple of Death Knight champions, some type of blood altar, and a warped obelisk. This is activate. What happens if you activate the obelisk? Return home. This is This may be how a lot of these creatures have been teleporting into our world, or portaling into our world. Obelisks like this and these magical whatever they're using, things like this to basically come from whatever dimension they're coming from. At least that's how I'm figuring out in my head. I have no idea. Let's back up, because here come these Death Knight champions, and they are coming right for us. Let's fix our line here. Alright, open fire. We have a few of our melee folks coming in, Grog and the others, to beat the absolute shit out of them. Yefim has been injured, though. Most likely due to the fact that... Alright, we got him. Most likely due to the fact of... Oh, actually, that was all from the Death Knights. Okay, we've got Minotaur tending to him. I was worried that some of that was most likely from our bullets, and thankfully, I was happily incorrect. Let's finish off these massive marauding sons of bitches. Now the Death Knights are dead. We do still have a bit more of this village to go through, or whatever this was supposed to be. The problem is we didn't get all that much info from the carrier bird that we received. I don't know if they had some filthy ne'er-do-wells trying to summon the dark forces here, or based on this, though, I think actually the obelisk, it seems as if they have to go home, perhaps the Death Knights were creating the obelisk to return to the universe of their filthy lich witch bitch. I don't know for sure, though, but I do know for sure that we are going to continue moving forward here, and I'm going to continue exploring this. I don't want to take the entire army. We do need to kind of hurry, though. There's a giant forest fire that's coming, and our ancient deer, in some cases, are right in the way. Bit of a problem. Pop it wide open. Ah! No death knights, but we do have skeletons. Not all that many. With some type of sacrificial altar once again. Let's blast these sons of bitches. Okay. The matchlocks are great, but they're very slow firing. There we go. Finally. I'm not seeing much. There's nothing really of use here, except maybe the altar, which we could quickly deconstruct. Put this out. I'm not all that concerned with the walls. Let it all burn. So we get some obsidian and silver. Interesting. This obelisk, I'm not positive what to do with it, although I don't think it matters. As long as the undead have been vanquished, I don't think that anyone else is going to know how to use it. And it seems like without these altars, the obelisk might not work as intended. So we'll deconstruct these, and now we need to tend to our wounded and get the hell out of here before this raging fire consumes every single one of us, as well as the forest as a whole. Now the pouring rain would come to the forest to wash the fire away, thankfully, which also gave us an opportunity to ponder about the obelisk and to try to destroy it. As you can see, these efforts were completely in vain. I don't know what type of dark magic is holding this thing together, but it seems impenetrable for our current capabilities. That taken into account, I think we're gonna have to come up with a different solution. We can't just leave this thing here. It's far too dangerous. Since the obsidian in the area that we got from the altar, as well as a few other structures, was the most durable and dense material here, we decided to use it to completely block off the obelisk. Whether or not somebody is going to use it to leave or to come in here, either way, I think this should stop them from being able to do so. And perhaps if we're lucky, this will even hinder the amount of undead pouring into our world. With that finally taken care of, though, and all the loose ends tied up, we would finally return back home. Immediately rushing into the tower, our mess hall, our dining room, to feast together. There's no better bonding experience than working together as a team, as an army, to clear out the worst of the worst. God, it feels good to be back home. All in one piece, too, I might add. We've been gone for so long, though. Let's see if we've received any letters. Ah, a letter from the capital. The Jarl is coming for a visit. I suppose I probably need to shave and perhaps prepare a proposition for funding of the guild. Wish me luck. Hello one and all, thank you ever so much for watching today's episode, or if you're watching this in the future, thank you for watching the entire supercut, or just thank you in general, of course, for supporting these episodes, this series. I couldn't have done it without you guys, and especially not without my wonderful patrons. I love you all ever so much. I love all of you, of course. So thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting. I also want to say that I've had a lot of fun in this series, of course, and adding in this new faction, a sub-faction of the House of the Rotten Boar, the Unyielding Light, our monster hunters, who, as we continue building up our medieval Overhaul universe, we're going to see more often killing monsters, coming to the aid of civilians and villagers and stuff like that. I think it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, as well as seeing where it goes with them being connected now to the Eternal Winter universe. And as we continue seeing our Lich Queen Goth Mommy Necromancer baddie start invading more of these universes, looking for champions to fight in her army against the Eternal Flame. There's a lot of lore there that I've just spit all of a sudden. If you're new here, I apologize, but feel free to watch some of the previous series if you'd like more information about this, or if not, that's cool too. I love you guys though either way, and I will see you next time.